This NBA offseason has been wild. We've already had LaMelo Ball move, Giannis Antetokounmpo move, Ja Morant move. Well, now you can add another name to that list as it's now official. Kawhi Leonard has been traded back to the Toronto Raptors. They are sending him back in a deal for Brandon Ingram, Gradey Dick, 2 first-round picks, a pick swap, and 2 second-rounders as well. This is not just a trade. This is a team in the Toronto Raptors making a legitimate move to try to be a real threat in the Eastern Conference. We're going to talk about it all and more right after this.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of the Full Court Podcast, hosted by myself, Haize. But more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at the Full Court Podcast YT. At every social media platform, as I'm still getting used. We just updated the name to everything. But, this is now Kawhi Leonard's going back to the Toronto Raptors. The question this becomes about for the Raptors is this still going to be a storybook move, or is this a dangerous gamble, right? Like, Toronto had to do something. They felt like they had to do something. Is a better way to be there, right? Kawhi has already proven that he can win a title at the highest level. He's done so in Toronto. The Raptors instantly regain another a superstar to this team. And if Kawhi does end up signing a long-term deal there, this becomes more than just a one-year rental, which they've already done with Kawhi once before, is given a one-year rental. The playoff ceiling with Kawhi Leonard is just higher. It's higher than Brandon Ingram's ceiling. So with that, they're getting a player with a much higher ceiling than what they had with Brandon Ingram. Questions still arise about Kawhi's health and all those type of things, but this is going to also give energy to a fan base that seems to be very excited about the prospect of Kawhi Leonard coming back to their team. And now the Toronto Raptors are continue to build out an actual identity with this franchise. But the signs that, you got to be careful of, like we talked about before. This is not 2019 Kawhi Leonard anymore. Health and availability are going to be there as well. You're giving up Ingram. You're giving up Gradey Dick. You're giving up some serious draft capital in regards to this. And that you always building a roster based off nostalgia can always be a dangerous proposition for just about anyone. But it seems like the Toronto Raptors have taken a calculated risk in regards to this one. And I think now, if Kawhi Leonard does see a steep decline, misses some significant time, this trade could age very badly, especially with how those picks go. But at least in the immediate, the Toronto Raptors have made the upgrade that they were looking to make. They wanted a superstar acquisition on this team. They've now done one with Kawhi Leonard, albeit that, he has the injury history that he does have there. This feels like a move that is going to emotionally charge their fan base, but Toronto has to be right about the commitment to Kawhi and Kawhi's commitment to being able to stay healthy, right? And so the natural question on this is that, did the Raptors overpay at all for it? I mean, I think when you look at it, the side of this that it's not an overpay, players like Kawhi are rarely available. That's just the reality of it. You rarely have players that are available. 2 firsts, a swap, and seconds. They can be expensive, but it's not outrageous for a player that was a former finals MVP before, right? Brandon Ingram is good, but Kawhi gives them a higher ceiling. So you're going to pay much higher for that. Gradey Dick is a player that's still very young, right? But has, up until this point, not really proven himself to really be much, if we're being quite honest with it. I do think there's still potential with Gradey Dick, but overall, you're moving on from Gradey Dick. It's not something that you're looking at and saying, oh my God, we can't believe that we traded Gradey. You're not looking at that. The 6 points per game, he's 22 years old. He was just, he's going into his 4th year in the league. And we've seen, he could be Denny Advia. He can start turning his career around, especially with a change of scenery. Now going to Los Angeles, they're clearly now signaling a rebuild and stuff like that. But I think overall, they didn't pay too much, right? The thing is that the multiple picks, depending on how Toronto ends up working out, and if Grady Jarrett does hit some type of crazy ceiling, then yeah, it could flip around and look like and blow up in the Toronto Raptors' face. But as it stands right now, they're giving up some present. They're giving up some future flexibility as well. And the age and stuff of Kawhi Leonard, it means that this is a little bit riskier, that you need this to pay off as soon as possible, right? Draft picks matter, but they matter when a team's window is uncertain. If the window is going to be certain for this team and Kawhi is going to stay healthy, it makes it a little bit less of a risk in regards to that. When they're paying for a name, they're also playing for a player that when he is healthy, he is still an absolute two-way force on that basketball court. This deal, it like I said, could definitely go in the Toronto Raptors' way, depending on how far they go. Now for the Clippers side of this was a smart reset in giving up Kawhi Leonard, in my personal opinion. Outside of even the aspiration stuff, which I haven't really touched a lot on this, I kind of focus more on the basketball narratives and the actual basketball. But the contract situation of Kawhi Leonard, undoubtedly put them in a situation where they felt that they had to compete. You know, like I've said over the years too, I've given the Lakers a lot of credit for the sense that they are, once they, like, if they were ever fully healthy over the last 2 or 3 years, they would have been a legit championship contender. Now, that's that they have separated from the pack in the negative way because of the Spurs, because of the Houston Rockets, because of the other teams, the Denver Nuggets still being good. Of course, you have the OKC Thunder there, undoubtedly. But it just comes down to, this is just another situation with Kawhi that just never really was. It never really was what it could have been. And that's a big part because of Kawhi Leonard's health. And that's just, I think that's just a fair statement to say in regards to, like, Kawhi Leonard has a huge reason why his health wasn't a factor for them in regards to this one. But I think in regards to this, the Clippers are losing the best player in this trade, right? He has the highest ceiling of any player in this deal. Ingram is talented, but he's not Kawhi. They could look to flip Ingram later as well, right? And trading a former Finals MVP, you're never going to really get the best side of that deal, especially with how the market has gone now. But now the Clippers are choosing rebuild and flexibility over trying to pry open a window that we've all seen has been closing as far as the championship window for multiple reasons. Brandon Ingram to the Clippers is, I feel like it's more of a placeholder. I think that right now, does he fit LA? I guess, he's an offensive centerpiece. He's a versatile player. He has size. He has some creation out on the wing. But at the end of the day, it's more about the contract structure here. And I don't think that you're looking at per se, Brandon Ingram to be the next coming of anything on your team or anything like that. Like, you're looking at him to be, a solid piece and maybe a piece that can develop into a trade piece for you down the road. I mean, Brandon Ingram has $40 million left on his contract this year, a player option for $41 million for next season. And so, I don't think that they're going to immediately flip him or anything in this offseason, but by the trade deadline, we've seen it happen before. You can find another taker for Brandon Ingram, and it can make some sense in regards to that one. I think that's just the reality of it, right? Like, plus Brandon Ingram is not the same force as Kawhi. He's not the same two-way player as Kawhi, so you're not going to try to just plug in Brandon Ingram where you had Kawhi and keep it pushing. You're just not going to do that, right? So I think at this point, like, Ingram is a strong return in this piece, but he's not going to be sold as like some Kawhi replacement, and I would not be surprised if he's in a Clippers uniform for less than a year. I just wouldn't be surprised for it. But then Gradey Dick in the picks, right? Let's talk about the young part. You got 22-year-old Gradey Dick. You got these picks, the 2 first-round picks, the pick swap in regards to that one. And I think this is nice value. I'm not going to say big or huge value, but I do think this is nice value for there. Gradey is a player that can shoot. He has some hops. He's a player that's worth investing developmental minutes in. I think that's what you're looking at there. The 2 first also help LA recover, some flexibility that they've given up in making moves before. I think the 2 seconds, it gives them ammo to throw in another deal if you need to. We've seen how seconds can be added in as the sweetener in other trades. You can do that. This asset package you can justify, right? It gives you multiple paths that you can go down with it, especially when you pair in that you can maybe get another pick or something else, another maybe promising young player for a team that doesn't have time to invest and they want to take on Brandon Ingram. You can do that. But I do think there's a world in which maybe Toronto does kind of regret this, right? Maybe. Because, you have the youth there, you have the picks there, and all this could be something that the Clippers look at and they say, hey, we ended up coming out pretty good in this deal, regardless of what the initial return looked like. You just never know how far especially these picks that are pushed far out, you just never know how these things are going to turn out. It could turn out that you get a player where, you don't know what you're going to, that you don't expect to be able to get here. So at the end of the day, Kawhi Leonard's going back to the Toronto Raptors, and I think that that's going to be a good sign for them, and we'll see what they do with it. But let me know your guys' thoughts on all this down below. Like I said, I'm probably going to be back again today. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode or a live stream. You can follow us on social media at the Full Court Podcast YT. You can follow me personally at CEO Haize. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, NBA Central Show at gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We're the #1 spot for everything NBA and basketball related. I'll catch you guys the next time I feel like making a video. Prior to tomorrow. Peace out.
Been a presentation of the Breaks Media.